thing. I've been following the climate issue for 13 years now. I was in Kyoto at the Kyoto Protocol negotiations, and I've been trying to go to as many of the negotiations since then. And this is really the most distinctly different from any. I mean, really, both because it's bringing the voices of the indigenous people up to international attention, and because it's trying to create a democratic space that we really haven't had at any of the negotiations thus far. So I'm feeling very hopeful. It hasn't been flawless. I mean, there have been some areas of conflict in both in the working groups and in the drafting of the final language, and some of the working groups weren't even included. The working group 18, which was trying to address some of the concerns by indigenous people within Bolivia and elsewhere around mining, was excluded by President Morales. However, they've continued with their work, and I think what we've seen here is just a real a sense that the people's movement has stepped into the gap that the UN has left as a result of the failures in Copenhagen, and people are really feeling empowered, as though we're moving forward on the right track, which is we're not going to be embracing any of these false solutions. We are going to be talking about serious greenhouse gas emissions reductions within our countries, and I'm talking about the causes of climate change. It's amazing to think that all these years we've been talking about trading carbon and so on. We haven't been getting to the root cause of climate change, and that's one of the topics that's been discussed here.
And you're also working for Climate Justice Now, right? And trying to develop strategies going into Cancun. Can you tell us if there has been any developments towards that?
Yeah, I'm working with a number of groups. I'm working with Climate Justice Now. I'm also part of the Durban Group for Climate Justice, and I'm also coordinating a group called the No Offsets Group, which is working domestically within the United States to try to stop the 2 billion tons of carbon offsets that are now being proposed in the House and the Senate language from moving forward, because that would be just a disaster for the global climate. It would mean the U.S. could do nothing until 2030. In terms of the work leading up to Cancun, one of the things that Morales said in his talk today was that he wanted to see all of the documents from the working groups that came together here in Cochabamba submitted formally to the United Nations and have them integrated in advance of the discussions in Cancun. And of course, what we've all been told, just as we were told before Copenhagen, is don't expect anything out of Cancun. Nothing's going to happen until the next year, or the next year, or the next year. And of course, civil society groups are saying, no, we need action now. And furthermore, we do want to see these working groups put forward their formal language and have it considered seriously by all the countries of the world. However, what we're hearing is that the Mexican delegation is not even wanting to bring civil society into the process at all in preparing for the Cancun negotiations, much less bring in the working group's language that's emerged here in Bolivia. So it should be an interesting dynamic leading up to Cancun to just see how far we can go to both push our voices forward, the voices of indigenous peoples, the voices of the rights of Mother Earth, and all of these innovative concepts that have been developed here in Bolivia, and make sure that they're not shut out yet again.
And one last question is, how can people listen to your Earthbeat Radio?
So glad you asked. Earthbeatradio.org. It's online. You can podcast. You can stream it live on WPFW.org at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, East Coast time. But earthbeatradio.org is the best place to hear. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Daphne.